What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to the brother RM Jr. 1998 for the donation to the channel. A $20 donation. He says, "Happy birthday, bro. Salute to you, brother. Thank you for being a friend of mine for so very long and being subscribed to this platform since the very beginning. Salute." So I want to talk about something that's always attributed to Isaiah Thomas. Now, let me say this. Of course, Isaiah Thomas is arguably the greatest little man the game has ever seen. I know Allen Iverson's in that conversation, but Isaiah Thomas, to me, is the greatest little man. And by little man, I mean a player under 6'2" 6'3" in height. Two-time NBA champion, led the NBA in assists. I think it was the 84-85 season, and was able to control a game and dominate games in ways that very few players have been able to approach. Okay. But I've always taken umbrage to this statement that he's the only guy to beat Bird, Magic, and Michael in their primes. I don't agree with that. I've never agreed with that. Look, when I was a kid, when I used to hear it in the early 90s, I went along with it because, that's what was always said. But when I started doing research on the situation, I said, well, wait a minute. I said, we can't do this because on the one hand, I'll hear that Isaiah beat Larry, Magic, and Michael in their primes. But then I would hear this bullshit about how the Bulls only beat the Pistons when they got old. I said, well, wait a minute here. So in 91, Isaiah, who had just turned 30, was old. But Larry Bird in 88, who was 31, I believe, with the bone spurs, right, in his feet, and all of the injuries, the back injuries, he's in his absolute prime. Now, of course, 31 years old is by today's standards is very young, but let's tell the truth here. Let's go with Larry Bird for a second. The Pistons did not defeat the Celtics until 1988. By that point in time, even though Larry Bird had a remarkable individual regular season, he did. By the playoffs, and by the time that they had played the Pistons, Bird was hobbling around. And what was unbeknownst to most Celtics fans is that the Larry Bird that they had been enjoying for nearly a decade, that version of Larry Bird was effectively over. He would have surgery on these bone spurs and would miss all but 6 games of the 1988-89 NBA season. He also, unbeknownst to Celtic fans, would be dealing with a deteriorating back condition. And the Boston Celtics, during what would be the rest of Larry Bird's career, was never the same team. As a matter of fact, the Pistons beat the Celtics in the first round in the 89 playoffs, largely because Larry Bird was absent. So he beat a hobbled Bird in 88, and he beat a Bird-less Celtic team in 89. Let's tell the truth here. Now, you could argue they should have beaten Boston in 87, but Isaiah Thomas choked. We remember that game. What was it, Game 5? With that terrible pass that Bird stole? So that's the facts there. Those are the facts. Also, let's talk about Magic Johnson here. The Pistons didn't beat the Lakers until 1989. Now you could argue Phantom Call in '88, whatever the fact is. Magic beat Larry in '88. In '89, that Laker team was 11-0 going into the '89 finals. They were rolling. I think that's the year that they went. I think they were 57-25 during the regular season, but they were rolling in the playoffs. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong about the record, the regular season record, but during the playoffs, they were absolutely rolling. And they were 11-0. But what happened was Byron Scott got hurt before the NBA Finals, and Magic Johnson went down with, I believe, a knee injury, some sort of knee injury, some sort of lower leg injury. Now I think about, I think it was a hamstring injury. Excuse me. He went down with a hamstring injury, which we all know it's almost impossible to play through a hamstring injury. I don't know which grade it was, maybe grade 1, grade 2, but he went down, right? And so he didn't really beat Magic per se in the '89 finals because Magic was unavailable for most of those finals. Even though they swept the Lakers 4-0, most of those games they still only won by double digits. I think every game they won by double digits, excuse me, by single digits. So if they had a healthy Magic and a healthy Byron Scott, then that series may have gone the other way. And Magic Johnson to this day thinks that if he and Byron Scott had been healthy, they would have beaten the Pistons. And about Michael Jordan was healthy. That wasn't the problem here. But to say that the Bulls were in their primes, no. Michael Jordan might have been in his prime, but the Chicago Bulls were not in their primes. When the Bulls played the Pistons in 1988, Horace and Scottie were in their rookie years. In '89 and '90, the Bulls just were not quite ready to beat the Pistons in a playoff series. Hell, the fact that the 1990 Eastern Conference Finals went 7 games with the Chicago Bulls with a young core of Scottie, who was mentally still, not quite there. Horace Grant, not quite there as far as his toughness. The fact that series went 7, but then the Piston team, that same very Piston team, played the Portland Trailblazers, who was on paper a much more talented and deep team than the Bulls, but they beat them in 5. Goes to show you how much the Bulls really had the Pistons' number. It just was a matter of time. It was just a matter of time. So I don't want to hear anything about, they got old and all that crap. That's bullshit. The Bulls and Phil Jackson, that great coaching core, were figuring the Pistons out. The only difference was the Bulls still had to learn how to play 48 minutes of winning basketball. And they didn't do that until 91. So when it comes to Bird, Isaiah didn't beat a healthy Bird. He didn't beat Magic when he was healthy. And he didn't beat the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan when the team was in their prime. So I always thought that was a misleading stat. Oh, he's the only one to beat Michael, Larry, and Magic in their prime. I never thought that was a very accurate statement, and context was missing in that. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.